Hey guys, it's me, Mickelle Moose, and today you're joining me for a crazy crafting adventure. So, I'm going to be making a small plushie of Raven from Teen Titans Go, and I don't exactly know what I'm going to end up using or what's going to happen, but you're going to join me along the ride. Cattail. Alright, so to begin, I've got some... I'm standing today, and it's kind of weird because I don't know where the camera's going. To begin, I've got some, I don't know, beige colored fabric. I was going to use a white, but I couldn't find a white, and I was like, this is kind of pale skin fabric colored. I folded the fabric over in half here, and so it's double-sided, and then I've got this sketch that I've made earlier, just kind of a rough draft of how I want the body shaped, just so I kind of know what I'm doing when I start sketching it out on here. And I'm just going to kind of draw that same shape on to the fabric.
So that's her head, and then
And this is going to be on the inside, so it really doesn't matter how many altercations you make on it, I guess. It's going to be on the inside, so you really won't see it. Now, so this is kind of what I want the body to look like. So now I'm going to cut it out, but you have to remember that you do need to have some seam allowances. So, hold on, let me cut this out real quick.
just in general.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut outside of my line. So there's extra fabric for me to work with. And I'm doing it while it's folded over, that way I don't have to cut off that next section. So both pieces that I need for the front and the back are cut out at the same time. Alright, so I think that's good enough for now. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to sew this. And I'm just going to sew just outside of the actual line that I've made. Alright, so I finished sewing, and I forgot to mention something that was rather important, is that you need to leave a hole so you can stuff it. And I just need to make a couple modifications and cut a little further up, avoiding where I put the stitches, obviously. I stayed just outside of the line. Some places I actually went inside of the line. I just kind of made the decision as I was sewing. But so now we're just going to flip this. A pen is helpful because this is just a lot of pushing and tugging, and like a pen or a chopstick or something that would help you get in here. Alright, so I finally finished flipping it all inside out. Actually, I had to do a little modification just because this arm wasn't going down as far as this one. But I think it's overall fairly good. So now we're going to take some fluff, just some Crafter's Choice. Poof. And you're going to, from that spot you left on the top, start stuffing it. Once again, you will use like a needle and thread. Oh, sorry, the camera's wiggling everywhere. You'll use like not a needle and thread, but a pen or something to stuff down into the arms and the legs. And just make sure that everything's nice and stuffed. And I will show you what that looks like when I'm finished. Alright, so I have finished stuffing my doll, and as you can see, that top is still open, so I'm going to use a needle and thread and just sew that closed. So I kind of started working a little bit ahead here. We've got the doll, and she is got her body, and She's all stuffed, and I closed up the gap in her head, and I have gone and taken a bunch of red yarn and I have chopped it into little bits, ranging probably from like 4 inches to like 2 inches. I've got some smaller ones, and I'm going to put her hair on, and that's what I'm using the yarn for. So, got some purple thread here and a needle, and we're just going to grab a piece and we're going to start just with the regular hair, and then I'm going to do the bang portion in a bit. But so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get the thread started. I'm going to start in the center here. And this process can take quite a bit of time. I'm going to go right through the center of the yarn, pull it down, and then I'm going to go back into the head and then back out and around one more time, just to completely secure that hair down. And you want to pull nice and tight. And I'm doing it in the middle of the yarn, or as close to the middle as I can get. Obviously I didn't get in the middle because one piece is longer, and we will go through and trim the doll's hair once I have gotten all the pieces on. And I think the trimming the doll's hair is like the funnest part, is because it's like you get to give the doll a haircut and kind of finish up the look. So I'm putting the next one on, and I'm just moving down. Alright, I'm just going to continue doing this until I've gotten some more hair on the doll's head, and I'll show you what it looks like in a bit. Alright, so I'm about 20 minutes in, and I've got a mohawk going on here right now, and I just went up one side, down the other. Alright, so I'm going to do the top here, and then I'm going to go fill in the sides, and I'll show you what it looks like afterwards. But right now, Raven's really rocking it. Alright, so I'd say I put another about 20 minutes into this, and when I push her hair back, it kind of looks like she's got a full head of hair, and then when I start moving things aside, you see she's got some bald patches. And I'm just going to continue and just fill those spaces in until the back of her head's completely covered. So I've got pretty much most of the hair on. It was getting really thick in the back, so instead of sewing some extra strands on, I just sewed the yarn vertically. That way I don't have quite so much bulk in the back, because as you can see, it's kind of starting to stick up a little bit, and it's all stringy and everywhere. And then I also started sewing the bangs on. You do it pretty much exactly the same way you do in the back. These strands are much smaller. Here's a piece I haven't fully cut down yet, but we'll see that little fold, and then you do it right in this top there. Sew it on the same way, and we're just going to keep going all the way across until we have a full set of bangs. Finally gotten all the hair on. It took a while, and I just kind of put a rubber band on it overnight to kind of push it down, so it would stay in place maybe a little better. But so this is the front, this is the back, and Raven has a very short, like just above the shoulder kind of bob, and the front of her hair kind of goes down into a V shape. So I'm just going to use the scissors, and I'm going to slowly kind of work my way up, cutting the hair off on the bottom there. I'm not going to cut it all off at once because I want to see how it lays, because it kind of poops up a little bit, you know. Now I'm going to work on the bangs, and they are just really, really long right now. So the right shape, but it's definitely too long, because like her mouth would have to be down where her neck is. Alright, so there, her hair is now all finished. It still kind of poofs out a little bit, but that's just because I gave her too much hair. Now we are going to move on to the face, I think, and I thought, yeah, we'll move on to the face now. And I was thinking about it for quite some time, trying to figure out what the best way to put her face on would be. Like sewing it on with like fabric, or sewing it on with just thread, like embroidering a face. And I thought that paint would probably be the best bet, just because I can get a little bit more control of it personally. So I'm going to paint her face on. So I finished painting Raven's face, and her eyes are okay. That turned out good. Her nose is excellent, and unfortunately I think I messed up a little bit on the mouth. I was going to do just like a straight line, because Raven doesn't often show emotion. And then I was like, well, she doesn't look very happy or friendly. So I was like, I'll make her smile a little bit. And it just doesn't look quite like Raven. But anyway, so now we're going to move on to making her cloak, and she wears a big cloak that constantly covers her body. I thought I had some purple fabric left over from when I made the Anna dress, or Elsa dress, one or the other, one of those dresses, but I couldn't find it, so big surprise. Anyway, so I found this old shirt. It was violets, and it got a hole in like the weirdest spot, and so I figured this was a perfect length to turn into a cloak. So, and it's purple. It's not the dark shade of purple that I wanted, but I'm not going to be picky. So I need to figure out kind of how much fabric I'm going to need. I'm just going to cut right through the sleeve here. Now I'm going to cut across here. What I've done is I've just kind of, I'm wrapping her up like a burrito. You guys have seen me do this so many times before. I'm just going to fold it over the top. Whatever cloth you're using. I mean, you don't have to use an old shirt for this. But if you have one that you're not going to wear, that's holy, you can't donate it somewhere, this is a totally great craft to use it for. Reuse, recycle, keep this out of the landfill. Alright, so here is where her feet end, if you can see that. And so there's probably about 3 inches below that of fabric left over. And this is just way too long. We do want it billowy, but we don't need it quite that. So this is the cloth that I'm left with. I don't actually have a measurement for it, sorry. But in comparison to my doll, if I put it up to her shoulders, it's going to fall about 3 inches below, and it is going to fold over her full body, all the way over the front once, and then twice. So I'm going to leave the top open at this current point, and I'm going to hem this side here and the bottom. And the top we have to sew a hood to, so I'm going to leave that alone at the moment. Alright, to begin with, I look absolutely horrendous today. My allergies are just absolutely horrible, and not trying. But anyway, this is what I have. You may have noticed that it has changed color slightly, and that is because I went and rummaged through my fabric, and I found one that was darker purple more suited to what I was intending originally. But so I just sewed the 3 sides. I left the top open. I cut it just the same way I did before, so it's really just the same thing, but in a slightly different color. This looks kind of blue in this light, but I swear it's purple. So anyway, we're going to move on to making the hood, which I'm not the greatest at making hoods, but I am just going to work from a larger piece and just kind of cut it down until I find something that's fitting. I want it to be kind of an oversized hood because her hood kind of covers, like, shadows her face. And so I'm just going to cut out this piece here, which is, who knows how big. We'll figure it out. Currently this piece is a little bit longer than the actual cloak, and when I compare it to the doll's head, the singular piece can kind of wrap around her head, and so I've just doubled that up. First, I am going to fold over this edge and hem it. Alright, so I hemmed the 2 sides, so now when we fold it over, isn't that lovely? Now these 2 sides are beautiful. And then I'm going to fold it good side to good side, and I'm going to sew along the top, and I'm going to leave the bottom and these 2 sides open. Alright, so I noticed that the size right away was too big. I took my hood that I created and I laid it up against the top of the cape, and the original one extended beyond the cloak portion. And so all I did to remedy that is I took the hemmed side that I had and I folded it in again, and then I sewed one more time. So there's actually 2 seams here. Now I could leave it like this and it has a nice seam on the inside so you don't see the rough edge, or I could cut it off. I think I'm actually going to leave it because it, like I said, it looks nice, so that way when she drops the hood you've got pretty stitches instead of a rough edge like this. You can see that. So now, and because I'm not giving you any measurements for anything here, another thing that you want to do is to test the hood out on the doll and just kind of see how it looks when you put it on the doll. And as you can see, this is part hood, part shirt on her because it's too long. And knowing that, I'm just going to begin kind of trimming the edge a little bit so I get it a little closer to the actual length that I want. So I cut off about, I'd say like 1 inch, and that seems to be about the length that I want, with a little bit left over for a seam allowance, obviously. But now her hair's all on her face, but you get the general idea. So with your hood, because I'm not giving measurements for any of this, with your hood you'll be able to kind of test and play with it. And that's when you're making a doll, and you can make your doll exactly the same size as mine, but it really just depends on what size you want it to be, because it can be anything you want it to be. This is just to give you a general idea of how you can do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the cloak and the hood, and I'm going to lay them good side to good side on the unfinished edge. And I'm going to center it up as best I can. So there's the hood on the back, there's the cloak, and good side to good side touching, and I'm just going to sew straight across. And we shall see what this looks like. Okay, so anyway, so I sewed the hood on, and the cloak, or to the cloak, so this is what we have right now. Very cute.